Everybody, welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Earliest Alerts. We have a lot to cover. No surprise, very active weather pattern. I've made even some changes since I've been on the air on television, so you will see those changes come up on midday, probably even a few more. Here's a look at the satellite. Let me turn on just the visible, and you'll be able to see, let me stop it here, where we've had some clearing on the upper layers of the atmosphere to allow for a nice sunrise for a lot of us there, but still quite a few clouds rolling on in. The clouds will actually increase as the day wears on, so any sun is considered bonus sun today. But the problem is you get that balance, or imbalance I should say, of a sunny sky and a cloudy sky back and forth. It actually can help create a stronger wind field that's already going to be aggravated as it is with this trough moving in later this afternoon. So it's going to be certainly a windy day, and the winds continue to ramp up each and every hour. And the longer we're partly sunny to mostly cloudy kind of a deal, we will see that strong wind gust at times around 30 miles per hour, even a touch higher in some spots. The showers have been mainly limited to Indiana. We have one now that's moving into downtown Louisville, into Jeffersonville and Clarksville, hugging the Ohio River at the moment. More activity rotating in, again, from the west, so Indiana is going to take the brunt of a lot of this. Very little activity so far in Kentucky. However, there is more to talk about, and let me adjust this a little more so you can see. This next little trough across Chicago, you can even see it dipping down across Illinois, and that dipping will keep happening into where that wall of rain is going to work its way right into Indiana and northern Kentucky as we get into the late afternoon period and for the evening rush hour, a period of rain, light rain it looks like, and then temperatures will drop when that happens too into the 40s, so relatively cool late day period. But between now and then, though, we may get a decent amount of sun breaks to get us at least into the mid-50s easily there. Got to watch the wind speeds, gust at times around 40 miles per hour. We've noticed around portions of Des Moines. Gusts now coming in roughly 20 to 35 miles per hour across portions of Illinois. We'll see how this happens to evolve as we get that partly cloudy sky into that trough moves in, but the wind speeds will increase here locally. So kind of a active weather day, if you will, and a very changeable one as the hours go by. So let's look ahead here. Here's the RPM. There's the current radar. RPM says this is where the rain should be. It's not too far off. The problem it has, though, is tomorrow. Well, first off, we cover today, then we'll get into tomorrow. Here's that drop happening this afternoon, 3 or 4 o'clock. Clouds will increase, but still, I mean, the model's got us 56, 57. I think that's reasonable. The amount of sunshine we'll pick up. Then as we get into this evening, we'll see it fade out. Now, if we get enough clearing, we'll drop down to the upper 30s to around 40 degrees here in the city, but the winds should be elevated enough. We're not expecting any frost issues here. We got to just watch some of the valleys and the sheltered areas. That may be a different story for some of you. But still, I think it's going to be a non-issue when it comes to that. And any breaks we get will allow for a nice sunrise again tomorrow, but short-lived, because another clipper, if you will, is going to dive down across Indiana and northeast Kentucky as we get into the afternoon. Now, notice the RPM is just not too excited about this. The NAM model is, the RPM's not. Too early to say what the HERT model is going to show. We need some more high-res data to get a handle on this clipper coming in. Then that will kind of squeeze on by, and then we will clear out by the time we get to sunrise Thursday. And this is the point where, if the winds relax enough, and they will somewhat, we will look at a more of a frosty start to the day. Perhaps even a light freeze. Wouldn't rule that out, but mainly a frosty deal for even the city of Louisville will have some patchy frost. Maybe enough for advisory, by the way, to get issued. So we'll see what the Weather Service decides on that when we get closer. But then Thursday afternoon, we just skyrocket. I mean, a nearly 30-degree climb. Well into the 60s, higher than what the model is indicating, possibly even close to 70. And we'll likely repeat that again as we get into Friday, the way things are trending. Here is what I think, though. I had to hand draw the setup for tomorrow because the model's, again, not exactly showing what it looks like to me. But that wave drops down. It should clip Indiana and northeast Kentucky. The NAM model is trying to hint that it'll be central Kentucky, but I think it'll have a little more of a northeast angle. But we'll be able to fine-tune this later today and tonight. These systems have a tendency to dig a little more and on the models than what it ends up being the reality. Either way, I do think it looks cold enough, aloft especially, as we get into the afternoon period, that we could run into some sleet, some ice pellets mixed in. Not a big deal. At least want to mention this in case you hear it or see it bounce on your windshield if you're driving around tomorrow afternoon. But it's going to be above freezing. So, again, not a big deal, but you got to at least mention this or y'all yell at me later. Why didn't you tell me it was going to be sleet today? It's not a big story. But for some of you, it may be a big story, depending on your love for it. Here's the sounding, by the way, which is interesting from the NAM because we're saturated in the crucial area to get some frozen precip. But notice this dry pocket here. I think we may end up with a situation where we get some evaporative cooling that'll take place. And I think that'll be enough to cool the atmosphere down to allow for the sleet to happen. That's why I hand draw hand drew the map, as I think that the sounding indicates potential for some virga initially that will cool the atmosphere down, evaporative cooling, and we should get at least potential for some sleet. That's what I'm going with. We'll, again, see how that trends when we get closer. Okay, so then we get into the mess for later this weekend, and even next week. Very busy weather pattern, and it's changing every time I look at it. So it's hard to, I don't want to make too many changes because you got to go slow with this kind of a pattern because it's very amplified. And when you get into a very amplified pattern, there's a lot of changes from model run to model run. So you can't react to every one of them. But I'm trying to get an overall theme of what is happening, and I think I'm starting to see that signal get a little stronger for the weekend here. And it really does involve the tropics. And we talked about that, or at least I tweeted out some stuff about that yesterday. I'll show you in a second. First off, here is the upper level temperature profile, the cool pattern for Tuesday and Wednesday. This is the GFS. Here's the warm surge, Thursday into Friday. Now, the thing is, this next front that drops in with really Arctic air, it's actually plunging south. It's coming from that source area. It's just weird to say that in October, but that's what it is. Now, it's trending slower with this boundary. This is Friday night. Notice it just now starts to bring some rain in here, but the core of the rain is still to our west. Yes, it does try to pick up on a rain-snow mix there, but again, you got to keep in mind what that is. That's the Ozarks, higher elevation, so that's to be expected. It's still a debate on whether or not the cold air can catch it with this front to produce anything frozen in the back end. I think it's still possible, but I don't think it's enough to fit into a forecast officially. All right, we'll see. It's one of those things you really can't answer until nearly the day of. Either way, it's trying to aim that a lot of the precipitation, rain, is going to fall on Saturday. This is Saturday evening. It's just now ending on 65. So I'm adjusting the rain chances compared to this morning. I'm going to shift everything over. I was trying to account for a Friday night event, but I think it's a little misleading when you see that high rain chance Friday. I'm going to kind of blend it more into Saturday. If you have Saturday plans, I know it's not the best news for you here, but that's the way it's trending. But here's the issue. The tropical system that is now in the Caribbean has a chance to develop. It may be either tropical or subtropical. Either way, it's going to race up the eastern seaboard. And here's the cool thing, or sciencey thing, I guess, about this, is when you get that much heat energy from a tropical system being shoved north like that, you get an opposite reaction on the other side. So it's like a dumbbell effect. You surge warmth up, you bring down the cold on the other side. And that is what I think is happening for the weekend, which would impact Sunday into Monday. And you see what's happening. We get a cold dive here into Monday. Higher elevation snows in the Appalachians, maybe some drizzle, maybe some flurries, maybe mixed in with that. Not a big deal, but cloudy and chilly Sunday and Monday over us. And then we see it lift out of the area as my map catches up. Give it a second. It's a little slow. Come on. There we go. And then for Halloween, it's showing us slow. The GFS is a slower retreat of the cooler air. And then we get into some warm air with another little wave coming in later in the week with some rain showers, and then another bump up warm air with another dynamic system toward the first weekend in November. But we'll see how that plays out. There's definitely a sign of energy dropping down. It's a matter of whether or not we get the southern stream involved or not. Here's the Euro. The Euro shows cool snap Tuesday, Wednesday, today, tomorrow. Here's the warm spell Thursday, Friday. It too. This is Saturday morning, and it still has the rain mainly west of 65. It's had the slow idea all along, and the slower idea with this kind of a dynamic setup is probably the way to go with it. In fact, it likely is the way to go with it. It too sees the tropical influence here, starting right through here, is waiting to Saturday. Watch what happens as it surges northbound. Watch what happens as you get the down effect over the Ohio Valley as a result of that, and it's spitting out some precipitation and some clouds over Sunday and Monday. So I have accounted for that potential. Mainly anything frozen, I think, would be higher elevations. I wouldn't roll it out here in the evening or nighttime hours, but it's too minor to mention. It retreats the cooler air, though, in time for Halloween. I like that idea. And then we get into another wave, as the GFS showed, around next Wednesday, Thursday. And then a more dynamic system, potentially the first week in November, that's still there. And that one could be heavy rain. That could be severe weather. And then eventually maybe some snow on the back end. That's the way it likely will trend. We shall see if that happens. Here's the ensembles from the GFS for the front timing, and you notice how a lot of them have everything mainly slowing down east of us. I know it's hard to see, but it's mainly a slow event. And then for the Sunday, Monday period, it does show that backlash showing up there on several of the ensemble members. So I think that's going to be the trend on the GFS. It'll eventually match the Euro idea. So that's what I've done with the forecast. Cool weekend, maybe some sprinkles even to Sunday, maybe even parts of Monday. We then have a very messy setup later next week into the first week in November. We'll just have to see how that trends. That's it for today, guys. Don't forget, the winter forecast comes out a week from tonight. Get ready.